You know, just because chat bullied me into this and I didn't at all go live just so that we could watch the Dragonflight Legacies Chapter 3 video. Here we go, chat. This one's for you guys.
No, Stormu, wait! You have led me through all these moments in time. Yet now you ask me to guide you?
There is a blind spot in my vision of a time before Neltharion's corruption, and I believe it centers upon you.
So I just quickly want to say, I spoke about this yesterday. The fact that there can exist blind spots on the timeline is very interesting. Remember, the timeline is recorded. If it happened, it's on the timeline. And technically, it should exist on the timeline. So what exactly could have the power to remove that? Now, it could be Murozond. It could, to some extent, be Aman'Thul. And, you know, maybe one of his keepers, but I don't think so. Or it could be the Old Gods. Those are the three options that exist, sort of. But here's where things get really tricky. A blind spot on the timeline would mean that the timeline was either erased or it was locked. In other words, it cannot be viewed. Again, how? If it's erased, that's actually massive problems. Because it means physically our timeline has been erased, which should technically erase everything. If it wasn't erased and it was just locked, that suggests that there are beings that, like, someone's lying. Someone is far more powerful than what they have pretended to be.
I must know why. Seek him out in your memory.
My general, a fierce battle. It was my honor to command a battalion. We executed Neltharion's will precisely. Our devotion and discipline were unmatched.
The Titan artifact. That must be the source of your unity. This was an ancient magic that bound you to his will.
Wait, what? A Titan artifact that bound the Drakthir to his will? Bro, like, come on now. If you still believe you trust the, like, if you still trust the Titans, this looks a little like Thanos' glove, not gonna lie, but never mind that, you know. It is a Titan artifact, and it mind controls. It physically binds beings to the will of the wearer. That should scare the living shit out of you.
It was an ancient magic that bound you to his will. Would you not sacrifice yourselves at his whim?
We were soldiers. There were many threats to the world. And here was the greatest. The Primalists.
That is Razageth, the Storm Eater. One of the leaders of the Primalist rebellion.
He struck without warning, without honor. And I lost many friends this day. We fell back, regrouped. Then, everything became jumbled, confused.
The artifact destroyed, and the order magic which had united the Drakthir was dispelled. How then was Razageth defeated?
That's how Deathwing became corrupted. This is bro, this is a huge retcon. In order to stop the Primalists, Deathwing literally pledged themselves to the Old Gods. Holy, because that's what the Old Gods do. If I am correct, we don't understand the Old Gods at all. Not at all. The Old Gods are something entirely fucking different to what everyone seems to believe. They have helped us around every corner. They have tried to get us on their side. N'Zoth even tested us to make sure that we would be strong enough to stop what was to come. What was to come was Sylvanas ripping open the sky and Zuval coming out. So, Tradlad, it's kind of a retcon. It's not a full retcon, it's kind of a retcon. Because the suggestion, at least for all eternity, was that the old gods whispered to Nalfarian, right? They whispered to him, and slowly but surely, over time, Nalfarian fell to their corruption. So Nalfarian eventually couldn't tell reality and fantasy apart from one another because of their whispers. He was starting to go crazy. This suggests that no, there was a moment. There was a moment where Nalfarian pledged himself to the old gods in order to stop the Primalists. So, needing more power in order to ensure that the world does not fall to the Primalists.
So, brother, this is what you hid from us. The moment you fell from grace. In his desperation, he turned to the deepest evil, the power of the old gods.
Oh shit! Dude, did he just open a portal to the void? He literally opened a portal that sucked Razgov, or whatever his name is, through a fucking portal to the void. Tradlad, well, the thing is, I don't necessarily agree with what Nosdormu is saying here. Nosdormu believes the old gods to be the ultimate threat. Why? Well, because that's what he's been told. Dude, it's gonna turn out that Deathwing was very similar to Illidan. I genuinely believe that. It's gonna turn out that Deathwing and Illidan were very similar. Deathwing, in order to save his people and to save Dragonkind, had to turn to the old gods. How else was he supposed to stop the Primalists? What's more important, and someone asked that in chat, why the fuck are the Primalists that strong? Like, how can they be so strong that an aspect cannot even stop them?
If only we had known.
But then, why were we imprisoned? Why did we sleep for so long?
If he could no longer control the Drakthir, he would have deemed you a risk.
No, we laid down our lives for him. He was proud of us. Why would he stop this sand? I cannot see!
Because you do not want to. Yet you can only become more than you are if you confront your past.
I believe the Primalists are stronger due to a natural occurrence. So, if I am correct, if my theory is correct, the Primalists are based on elemental magic, the origin magic of the dragons. So for those of you that don't quite understand the history here, Dragonkind, as in proto-drakes, the original dragons, was born as a natural evolution of the elements. So within the elemental planes, the dragons were born. When the Titans locked the elemental lords into their realms, the dragons were not inside those realms at the time, and so the proto-drakes were roaming free because their realms were locked up, right? And it was out of these proto-drakes that the Titans chose 5 to become the aspects. But from these proto-drakes, things like the Primalists were born. And as you can hear, this one, the one that we just saw, can't remember his name now, is called the Storm Eater. Perhaps, quite literally, because that is what they do. I told you guys before, proto-drakes are incredibly susceptible to forms of magic. And if Galakrond is anything to go by, because Galakrond was also a proto-drake, if the elemental dragons, not the aspects, so what the Titans did to the aspects is actually unforgivable. It's actually unforgivable. You see, the Titans brought order to the aspects. The Titans didn't create the aspects. The aspects were already aspects. They were already incredibly strong due to their elemental origins. The Titans could not allow for Dragonkind to just run free because it's chaotic. It's far too chaotic. You don't know what's going to happen. What could these elemental dragons do just roaming free? And so the Titans come and they basically block the aspects from all other forms of magic except for the magic that the Titans deem okay. So in the form of, for Alexstrasza, they blocked her from all other types of magic except for life. Deathwing blocked from all other magic except for the earth. Right? That's where he will draw his strength from. Nowhere else. He can't draw his strength from the sky or from lightning or from the elements. He can only draw his strength from the earth. The same for every one of the other aspects. So effectively, the Titans almost weakened the aspects. They didn't make them stronger. Whereas the Primalists are completely chaotic. So they still have that natural affinity to just absorb power. They can absorb literally anything. So a Storm Eater just absorbs storms, and this is what gives him more and more power. So, yeah, weaken them so that they can control them. But of course, their strength comes in their numbers. So this is what gives the aspects all of that power. When the dragon aspects work together, they are stronger than any other Proto-Drake or Elemental Drake. Why? Because their powers are completely, almost shall we say, synchronized to work as a whole. It's not built to work on its own. They should work together, and that makes them stronger. But it also makes them controllable. Jane Jenna, by the way, 3 months streak. 7 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, Jane. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's just speculation, of course, on my part. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I'm willing to bake right now, is what happened here. Sure hope. Frozen in time.
Locked us away. Forgot we even existed. It would have been kinder to simply destroy us.
I am sorry, my young friend. We had to know the truth. But do not despair. I now believe that Neltharion locked you away because of what you might become.
What we might achieve, free of his control.
And now, you are free. This world has much to offer, and you will have a part to play in the events to come.
You spoke of an ancient enemy's return. It is Razageth and the Primalists. That is why we were awakened.
It seems that Neltharion yet had a purpose for you, but he is gone. You must decide which path you will take, which story you will tell.
My story will be my own.
I would say first half of this was really good. Second half was really soppy though. Yeah, I thought it ended really cheesy. Like, I could have done without that fucking end. Because the first half of this was really cool. There's so much in terms of lore, so much revealed to us, which is really cool. Didn't specify which ancient evil. The players do all the hard work in his story. Well, yeah, but that's just how it goes, right? No way, it's just the Primalist. The Primalists could be a large enough threat. Remember, Accolonn was also just a Primalist. He was just a Proto-Drake that just kept eating. So effectively, the Proto-Drakes, or the Primalists in this instance, they're unlimited in how much power they can actually amass. If they truly wanted to, they could destroy everything. So the Primalists would definitely be a large enough threat. And I love the fact that for the first time, in the history of World of Warcraft, we're dealing with a brand new threat, something that we genuinely didn't know about until this expansion. I like it. I'm really on board with this. Do notice that Nostormu didn't answer Rebuke to what Emberthal said at the end about Primalists? No, he didn't rebuke it, nor did he answer, but he did, in a roundabout way, answer it, I guess?
And now, but do not despair.
Forgot we even existed. It would have been kinder to simply destroy us.
I am sorry, my young friend. We had to know the truth. But do not despair. I now believe that Neltharion locked you away because of what you might become.
What we might achieve, free of his control.
And now, you are free. This world has much to offer, and you will have a part to play in the events to come.
You spoke of an ancient enemy's return. It is Razageth and the Primalists. That is why we were awakened.
It seems that Neltharion yet.
I mean, that is kind of an answer. It seems like Neltharion yet had a role for you to play. That is kind of an answer. Because we know already that the Primalist is a very large threat here. Do you think we're strong enough to take down a void-powered Accolonn? No, I don't know. I mean, obviously we are strong enough because have we ever lost a battle in World of Warcraft? But Accolonn... So, the way the Titans... the way Tyr and the dragons were able to defeat Accolonn originally was by him choking on a rock. That's literally how he died. He choked on a rock. They couldn't kill him. He was way too powerful. So, yeah, I don't know. If the dragons and a Titan Keeper couldn't take down Accolonn before he was void-powered, like fully void-powered at least, I should say, I don't know if we can actually take down Accolonn. Was this a Jedi's plan all along? I don't know, and I don't think so. Whatever Zuval was afraid of, I don't think we've seen yet. Okay, the whole we lost at Accolonn. What I'm talking about is, so for example, someone said we lost at the Wrathgate. No, we didn't. Because at the Wrathgate, we suffered a temporary setback against the Lich King, but literally after that we killed the Lich King. That's not losing. That's just a setback. And while that's very important for storytelling, and I'm not saying that that's not good, you should have moments like that. I am starting to reach a point now where I kind of... Stories don't have the same impact as they used to be, because I know for a fact we will succeed. Like, I know for a fact we're not going to lose. And so, you're not as afraid of it as you would have been otherwise. So I do think it's about time that Blizzard start writing some true defeat for us. I don't know how you pull that off, Nate. Well, actually, I do know how you pull that off. It has to be a defeat that's sizable enough to where the player knows that they've been defeated. You do this through sacrificing a number of beloved characters. So maybe the players lose a battle, and then Razageth. Is it Razageth? I can't remember his name. Fuck. And he said his name a few times now. But maybe the Primalists kill, say, Jaina and Anduin. Okay, just off the top of my head. They kill Jaina and Anduin. This is a massive loss to the player base. And also the player base will blame themselves because we should have won. But we didn't. We lost. This is a sad time. Everyone is sad. There are true consequences to our loss there. And then maybe an expansion or two later, we finally, take out the Primalists or whatever the case may be. That's true loss. We need that in World of Warcraft because it does become harder and harder to actually buy into the story when I know the story is going to end with us being victorious. We're just the masters of the universe. Is as big as we can have. The dragons bailed us out. In that line of thinking, though, we lost at the Broken Shore. To an extent, yes. I would say the Broken Shore was probably a decent loss. Again, it's momentarily, right? So it is just a moment of loss. It's not the kind that I'm discussing here, but it is decent. But what I'm discussing, or what I'm talking about, is actually imagine losing the whole war. Just losing the whole war. Imagine next expansion we log in and our world is no longer our world. Our world now belongs to the Primalists. They won. We are now the ones in hiding. Just imagine that for a second. If you venture out into any of the zones in World of Warcraft, within 5 minutes, you get sniped by lightning from the Primalists. Because they control everything. They are now the masters of Azeroth. And so we have to work covert ops in order to gain ground, in order to find our way back and gain some semblance of protection, some semblance of safety in a world that is now just completely against us in every single way, shape, and form. That's the kind of loss that I'm talking about. What if we players are avatars of the Void Lords without we knowing it, and that is why we are so strong? Anything at this point would be possible. Mr. Bonji, that would actually be a good idea, adding housing in that expansion. But just imagine that for a second. We lose an entire expansion. We lose the war in its entirety. You log in the pre-patch, and suddenly the realms are not safe for you to walk in. You can't even really quest in the realms. Because, yeah, there's just constantly things trying to kill you. And the things trying to kill you is much stronger than you. Because they won. And so we fight and we get ourselves a little piece of heaven, just carved out of the fucking mountaintops of, or the mountainside of Azeroth. And in this little safe haven, this is from where players sort of fight their way back, clearing zone by zone, creating safe routes for players to move, maybe finding some kind of magical element to protect us against the dragon threats, to hide us from the dragons, things like that. That could be so fucking cool. Go hide in Outland. We're tied to our garrison in Draenor. Please no. Please no. I've seen enough of my fucking garrison in Draenor to last me a lifetime. I never want to go back there again.